According to records of the Uganda Company, from 1906, there was already electricity in Uganda powered either by generators, steam or suction gas, although it was only for limited use. The limited use was expanded with the introduction of thermal electricity around 1915, and finally, in 1954, the first hydropower plant was commissioned at the Owen Falls Dam in Jinja. The commissioning of the 180-megawatt Owen Falls Dam triggered a transformation of the country's nascent sector that in the early 2000s went through sweeping reforms that have placed Uganda's electricity sector at the highest ranking on the African continent. Today, Uganda boasts over 1,365.2 megawatt installed generation capacity from a mix of renewable energy technologies, including hydro, grid-connected solar, cogeneration, and thermal. What began as a plan to construct a single dam to support the growing economic activity in the country has now transformed into a robust, self-sufficient electricity supply industry with huge investment potential in the entire value chain of generation, transmission, and distribution of electricity.
The reforms brought about increased generation and also transmission and distribution. But the reforms also brought technology transfer because we have trained our own staff.
At the time of unbundling, we were talking about only 3 generation plants. But now as we speak today, we have grown to 41 generation plants.
We have seen increase in generation capacity in 2000 from a mere 280 megawatts to now 1,365.2 megawatts.
Owing to huge public and private investments in the electricity sector over the 2-decade period after the reforms, Uganda is currently home to some mind-blowing electricity infrastructure such as large hydro plants, tunneled power plants, solar plants, harnessing the advantage of being located along the equator, and mini hydro plants from rivers that contour the Rwenzori and Elgon region. Commissioned in 2012, at the peak of an energy crisis occasioned by fast-growing demand for electricity and limited generation, the 250-megawatt Bujagali hydropower plant was the first largest privately owned hydroelectric energy source, not just in Uganda, but also in the East African region. Situated across the Victoria Nile, Bujagali harnesses the energy of its namesake, the Bujagali Falls in Uganda.
Back in 2004, there was a shortage of electricity, shortage of generation. They were operating with up to 12 hours rolling blackouts in Kampala every day. So the government at that stage decided to go to international tender for the construction of the Bujagali project.
In 2019, the country also welcomed the 183-megawatt Isimba hydropower plant, the first major power project to be built under public and private financing arrangements. Located 4 kilometers downstream of Simba Falls on the River Nile and approximately 50 kilometers downstream of the source of the Nile, Isimba is currently the second largest fully operational plant in Uganda. Uganda's electricity is now welcoming on board a new hydropower architectural marvel in the 600-megawatt Karuma underground plant. Not only is Karuma a boost to the country's energy portfolio, but it is also a stunning tourist attraction for both local and international tourists. Benefiting from the rapid development of photovoltaic technology, solar energy generation as an important component of the renewable energy mix has been witnessing an exponential increase across the globe for the past decade. Uganda's solar profile consists of 5 grid-connected solar photovoltaic plants with a combined capacity of 60 megawatts. 2 other smaller capacities serving the Kalangala and Lolwe Islands, and a number of off-grid projects in the pipeline, expected to accelerate access to electricity in rural areas. All the energy generated is transmitted by a transmission grid stretching 3,386 kilometers and high voltage substations that include the 60 MVA 132 33 kV Nkenda substation, located in western Uganda. Nkenda substation is central for evacuating several power plants located in the Rwenzori sub-region and supports the heavy mining and agricultural activity in the region. This substation will also be the point of interconnection with the Democratic Republic of Congo. The 100 MVA 132 33 kV Tororo substation serves the far east and northern regions of Uganda and is the point of interconnection with Kenya. It evacuates the 10 MW Tororo Solar North plant and 10 MW Tororo Solar PV plant. This substation serves mainly industrial loads in the eastern region, including 3 cement factories. Commissioned in 2020, the 126 MVA 132/33 kV Iganga substation powers industrial activity in Uganda and the surrounding districts. Perhaps the largest on the list is the 400 MVA/220/132/33 kV Kawanda substation, which serves the main load centers in and around Kampala metropolitan area. It evacuates the 250 MW Bujagali hydropower plant and will receive power generated from the 600 MW Karuma hydropower plant upon commissioning. Kawanda substation is the main supply point for western Uganda and the interconnection with Tanzania and Rwanda through its 220 kV backbone in Masaka and Mirama respectively, with 4 transformers serving 11 and 33 kV loads around the eastern part of Kampala city. The significance of Lugogo substation to Uganda's electricity supply industry cannot be undermined, as it houses the National Control Center, where dispatch of electricity across the country and interconnection with neighboring countries is controlled. The distribution segment comprises of 80 distribution substations across the country, which supports the delivery of quality supply to the different categories of consumers ranging from domestic to extra-large industrial. Among these substations is the 28 MVA 33/11 kV Moniko substation, which not only supports the industrial load in Ugazi, but also evacuates the 26 MW cogeneration plant operated by Sugar Corporation of Uganda Limited, SCAL. Whereas Uganda's electricity distribution segment is run by 8 licenses, Umeme Limited, one of Africa's most benchmarked power distribution companies, operates 95% of the network.
We've actually made the sector financially viable and weaned it off from government subsidies. Losses have reduced from 38%, now we are talking 16.7%. Bill collections has gone up. Now we are running at an average of 99% over the last 10 years.
Our customers are now used to a continuous supply. And that goes a long way to speak to the improvement in the quality and reliability of supply. Now we are no longer talking about outages, we are talking about surges, blinks.
We are moving towards middle income. We are seeing total social transformation by giving this service.
Now we are talking about nearly 2 million households connected to the grid. But also we have done so well in creating an enabling environment for off-grids, mini-grids, solar home systems, to the extent that now 38% of our access to clean energy is through those technologies.
Right now we can use the household equipment that we need, that we have, that we can afford.
So when you look at the journey over the last 17 years, it has been really very fast-paced. We've readied the platform for takeoff.
We promise that we shall continue to deliver our mandate as an electricity regulatory authority.
It has been a journey of a lot of focus and sacrifice from all of us to be able to build the electricity supply industry sector that the globe now is admiring.
We actually have a surplus of electricity, and we are building more dams, as you know. Not only on all the sides of the Nile River, but even on the smaller rivers. With abundant and cheaper electricity, will mean faster industrialization.
Looking back on the journey, Uganda's electricity subsector is a success story attested to by several local and international benchmarks.